Going into the year, inflation made our dollars stretch so much less. And with the stock market and the economy in a slide, most of our investments are still in the red. Thankfully, the interest rates on our secure spots for parking cash, like our savings accounts and certificate of deposits, have seen higher rates than we've seen in decades. Hi everyone, Brian here. And in today's video, I'm going to walk through the entire process of buying a CD from Fidelity. And as you know, Fidelity is an exchange, and CDs bought from an exchange are often referred to as a brokered CD. With that, the questions and points that I want to cover in today's video is, how do you buy a new CD from Fidelity? And on that same theme, I'll also go over the details on how to buy a partial CD. Next, how do you buy a used CD from the secondary market? And what are the fees when buying or selling a CD on Fidelity? And last, what are all the pitfalls that you need to look out for when you're buying a CD from an exchange? And I'll be honest, I'll try my best to cover all the pitfalls in buying a brokered CD, but with all the different variations, it's near impossible to point them all out. But I will try my best to cover the main items that you need to look out for. Before walking through the process, I really need to give more background about what a certificate of deposit is for anyone that's new to this topic. And for all of you that already know all the basics, you may want to skip ahead to the comparison between the CDs for a bank versus an exchange. For everyone else, a certificate of deposit or a CD is a type of savings account or savings product that pays an interest rate over a fixed period of time. CDs can only be purchased from banks, credit unions, or other specific financial institutions like an exchange. You're essentially lending out your cash to these banks so they can leverage the money to then lend it out to their customers at a higher rate. I mean, it's no secret, this is how they make their money. With that said, you have to agree to lend them this money for a set period of time. And if you absolutely need your cash back, you can certainly do so, but it's going to come with penalties and fees. Those fees vary wildly amongst the banks, where you tend to forfeit several months worth of your interest, so make certain to review all the details when buying a CD, because each bank will be a little different. However, sometimes the relationship with a bank can be a bit one-sided with regards to keeping your cash in a CD for a set amount of time. Many banks may list in their disclosure statement that the CD is callable, which means that at any time the bank can call back the CD and return your principal and any accrued interest. And yes, you should be asking yourself,
when would something like that ever occur?
Now. Now is the perfect example of when that may happen. And that's because when CD rates are at the highest that they've been for decades, like today, if the Fed suddenly drops rates, this is going to result in savings accounts and CD rates also dropping, because suddenly lending money becomes cheap again. So let's say that in 8 months, the CD rates completely bottom out and hit 2%, which is more common to what they were even a year ago. Then let's say that a 2-year CD that you bought today at 5% is callable. Then at any time, let's say in 8 months, the bank calls it back and says, hey, we're calling in your CD and we're going to completely pay it off with interest because it's no longer a good deal for them. Like I said, it can sometimes be a very one-sided relationship with a bank, so make sure that you understand the details. Now let's cover the differences between a CD that's bought from a credit union or bank and a brokerage like Fidelity. First off, is there any difference between buying one between a bank and a credit union? And the answer is yes. There's essentially 2 key differences. The first being insurance. A bank is insured by FDIC, where all of the banks are paying a premium for this insurance to be placed on your account to cover up to the $250,000. Credit unions are also covered up to $250,000 per account, but the difference is it's not FDIC. Instead, it's NCUA, or National Credit Union Administration. Really, it's a minor difference. Another difference may be the rates. Many credit unions do offer higher rates than traditional banks, and I've heard from many viewers that they've seen their local credit union offer rates well over 5% for a CD, so it doesn't hurt to check your local credit union. Now let's dive into how banks differ from an exchange like Fidelity. First off is fees. Many banks may charge fees for purchasing a CD, and most have a penalty for early withdrawal. But with Fidelity, there is no fee for buying a CD online. But if you call Fidelity and use a representative for the purchase, they will charge you a fee of $19.95. So if at all possible, do it online. And Fidelity does not have an early withdrawal fee. Instead, you can try to sell your CD early on the secondary market. The secondary market is a completely different area on Fidelity, where you can buy and sell used CDs, sort of like buying and selling on eBay. There's also a fee of $1 per every $1,000 CD that is sold or bought on the secondary market. It comes out to be roughly 0.1%. Next is insurance. A bank or credit union is insured up to $250,000. However, with a brokerage like Fidelity, there may be CDs that are offered by other countries where the CD is not insured. But don't worry, I'm going to walk through all those details later on to show you what to look for. Another area of difference is liquidity. I touched on the fees with banks and selling on the secondary market with Fidelity, and that all adds up to liquidity. CDs at a bank tend to have a high penalty for early withdrawal, which results in a lower liquidity. And with Fidelity, you can offload your CD on the secondary market rather easily, resulting with higher liquidity. The secondary market is especially advantageous right now because rates are expected to come down in the next several months. And when that happens, you don't need to discount your CD that you just purchased today all that much because it's going to be worth more than the new CDs in the future time frame. But this can be a bit of a double-edged sword because if you bought a CD when it was around 2% and now you're trying to offload it on the secondary market where everything's running at about 5%, well, now you're going to have to discount it substantially more in order to sell it, meaning you may lose more money by trying to sell it on the secondary market than if you would have bought it from a bank. But that's only true if the rates continue to go up substantially. Another item of difference is variety. A bank's only going to offer you about 6 different CDs, but with Fidelity, you're going to have hundreds of options to shop around. And because of all those options, it can be a little bit overwhelming to know what to look for. Also, the CD offerings on Fidelity change every hour. I'm not joking, it will literally change multiple times throughout the day. And the last difference is the investment amount. Many banks, like the one I reviewed on Capital One, has no minimum investment amount. You can literally buy one for as little as $20. But brokered CDs on Fidelity typically have a minimum of $1,000. But there are a handful that are offered as partial CDs where they can be bought in $100 increments. But there aren't that many partial CDs available, and their rates tend to be much lower than the regular CD. But I'll make certain to walk through an example of buying a partial CD later on. And now I'm going to walk through the entire process of buying a new CD from Fidelity, a new partial CD, and then I'm going to finish it off with buying a CD on the secondary market. But before I do that, I have a favor to ask. If you like my content, I'd greatly appreciate it if you'd press the like button so my channel here on YouTube can grow. I'd also love it if you'd consider subscribing so that you can stay up to date with all of my latest content. And with that out of the way, let's get started with buying a new CD on Fidelity. All right, I'm about to log into Fidelity. I'm going to assume that you already have an account. I'm not going to walk through the process of setting it up. For me personally, I start with products and then I go down to the fixed income and bonds and CDs. From there, it pops up to this screen, and then I can search for investments. There's literally 5 or 6 different ways that you can still get to the same location. This is just the one that I use. From here, it brings up all the list of fixed income bonds and CDs. And I'm interested only in the CDs and the ladders. Ladders is a strategy that I'll talk about at another time, but here we go with all the different options. So as I can see, it lists all of the different time frames and the rates that are available right in this line. I'm surprised the 5-year is sitting at 5% because I haven't really seen that very often, and the 2-year is at 5 and the 1-year is at 5. And one thing that you're going to notice is whenever you log into Fidelity, the rates change daily, even hourly. So don't be surprised if you go in and you see something different than me, because the reality is it's going to be different even in an hour. So from this screen, looking at all the different CDs, I'm going to choose the 1-year time frame at 5%. And it's going to drop down, and the lower section below lists all of the different CDs that are within that 1-year time frame. The 5% CD is listed at the top currently. Sometimes they're mixed up, and all you have to do is filter it and change it based on the yield. So what I like to do is just double click on it. So it's sorted it so you can see the highest rate at the top, and then it goes down from there. From this screen, you can see that it lists the description, which is the bank. Next is the coupon. This is the coupon rate that's being offered, so in this case 5%, and the coupon frequency. This lists when you're going to actually be getting your interest payments. In this case, it's at maturity, and I would expect that for pretty much all of the 1-year options. And then it lists the maturity date. Is it a fractional CD? Yes or no? No in this case. I will show you a fractional CD in just a moment though. The yield, 5%, is going to match the coupon percent. That's going to be the case every single time when it comes to new CDs. When you talk about secondary CDs or used CDs, that number is going to be different because the coupon rate is what the bank is initially offering for the rate, and then the yield percent is going to be different because the individual or entity that's selling the CD may be selling it at a discount or at a premium. So they're going to have the asking price above or below, let's say $100 line, because that's going to be the baseline. And I'll talk into that a little bit later. So call protected. If something is listed as call protected and it says no, that means that you don't have protection. It means that they could call it back at any time, like I referenced earlier in the video. Now, if it's call protected, yes, that means that it's protected and the bank cannot call it back at any moment that they like. So when you see that it's listed as no, it should pop up what that schedule looks like. And as you can see right here, it's showing what that schedule is as far as when they can call back. So it's listing what the different dates are when they could call it back. And they could call it back 100%. So each of those time periods, they could reference and say, are we going to call it back? Yes or no. So you know in advance whether or not they're going to do that to you. Next is the settlement date, is when they're going to offer that CD to be available to you. And then the quantity available, there are a lot in this case. And then they have all of these different attributes. You're probably wondering, well, what does SFP mean? What does SO mean? FDIC, I think you have an idea what it means. But what you have to do is you have to come over here to the legend and it will spell out what each of those means. So SFP stands for Sinking Fund Protection, and then also SO means Survivor Option. So knowing what all of those attributes means isn't super important on this screen, because there's another screen that we're going to click on to get more detail where it explains things a little bit better. So under the actual bank name, let's click on that and see what it brings up. So what you're going to notice is this screen probably looks very different from what you've seen from other people on their videos. That's because Fidelity just updated what this page looks like. So I really like this new format because it lists the bank, it lists the CD percent, and it lists when it's going to actually mature. So it's a one-time year period. The yield is 5% APY, the maturity date is in a year, the minimum investment is $1,000, and the pay frequency for the interest is going to be at maturity. It's right in your face, plain and simple. I love this new format. So it's got each of the different sections talking about the CD itself. So on the far left, it's about the CD. Then in the middle, it's got the CD timeline. It has the redemption features, the coupon details, and then also whether or not there's foreign information. The foreign information is important because if it's a foreign entity that's selling the CD, then chances are it is not going to have FDIC insurance. That is something you have to be aware of. But right out of the gate is it says FDIC insured, check mark yes. That is plain and simple language, which I really love. I wish more banks would do that when they're offering the CDs themselves. Instead, they have the disclosure statements. You have to go through and you have to read all of them. Because when you go to a bank, they often have you click on the disclosure statement, and then you have to read through the details to find out whether or not a CD is callable or what the penalty, all the details are. I just wish they'd have one format to make it so much easier. But in this case, the FDIC insurance, it's got their code number. I'm going to walk through most of the items that I look for to make sure that it's meeting my specific needs. So here it has survivor option, check mark yes. That is always important to me. And you're probably wondering, well, what is a survivor option? Well, the good thing is you can just click on this and it's going to tell you. The survivor option, or death put, generally allows both the principal and the interest of the CD or bond to be redeemed upon exercise of the estate of a deceased. So let's say I have a CD and I purchased it under myself and I passed away. And also let's assume that my wife is my beneficiary. In that case, my wife, because this is got the survivor option on it, then she would be able to get the CD without having to pay any penalties or fees, and also she doesn't have to sell it on the secondary market. She can get the principal back along with any accrued interest. I love that option. It's something that I personally look for. Completely up to you if it's important to you or not. Another item that I look for is this a blue sky state? So what does blue sky state mean? Well, I'll click on it so it can actually list it. So it's states or territories where the bank offering the CD can't do business. So if it's a blue sky state, meaning there's limitations on where they can sell it, you're going to want to click on it because you'll want to see, all right, is your state listed there? Because if it is, then they're not allowed to sell it in your location. It's not often, but I'm going to try to show an example on that so that you can see what it looks like. From there, it lists the CD timeline, all the basic details you'd be looking for, redemptive feature. Is it call protected? It is no. So I already said that's not a great thing in my opinion. And then it's got the schedule right here so you can look at it again, and it's going to list all of those same details that I'd specified earlier. Let's buy this CD and see what the process looks like. So there isn't a lot of details to it. Once you're ready to purchase, all you need to do is put in your quantity. And the key thing that I want you to make certain you're aware of is a quantity of 1 is equal to $1,000 worth of CD. So I'm going to click 1, order value says 1,000. So once I'm ready to hit execute, I'm going to preview the order. It's going to show all my details all over again to make sure that I'm making the decision that I want to make. You click execute, then it's going to send you a confirmation screen saying that everything has gone through smoothly and you're ready to go. So that's it. That's what it's like to buy a new CD on Fidelity. But what I want to do is I want to go back and I want to buy another one so I can show you something that has different features like a fractional share. In addition, I also want to show you one that has some blue sky states. So let's go do that now. Okay, so I simply went back to the main screen all over again. And as I mentioned, the CDs update all the time. And now we have one from 𝐓𝐸, which is under the 1 year at 5%. But unlike the other one, it has an interest or coupon frequency semi-annually. So you're going to be getting the interest payment twice a year in this case. And then also, it is not a fractional share, but it is call protected. So this is even better than the one I just looked at. But it is also a blue sky state. So in looking this, I'm not going to click on it quite yet because it's got this sky being highlighted, so we can click on it and see what it says. So right out of the gate, it's telling us which states they can't do business in. So New York, Ohio, Oregon, Washington. So those states, you are not able to purchase this because they are not allowed to sell this product there. So like I said, it's got this main page. And what I love about this is it has the survivor option, yes. It's FDIC insured, yes. Very simple to understand. Blue sky states, yes. So here's where it's weird. You click on blue sky state, it explains it, but then you have to click on the yes for it to actually show you which states those are. Just two ways to get to the information, but it seems odd they have to click on the yes. One of the things I should have covered on the other one that I didn't is the auto roll feature. And the auto roll essentially means signing up for auto roll instructs Fidelity to automatically invest your initial investment at the end of the investment period or the maturity into a new similar investment. You have the choice of picking whether or not you want it to auto re-enroll or not. I personally choose not to. That's my preference because I want to decide whether or not I want to continue to have it going forward in a like item. That like item might drop substantially between now and when that year comes up. I may want to move that money over to stocks or something else. So here, same situation. I'm going to put in one CD. It's $1,000. So buying it is the same option as the other one that I showed you, but now I want to go back and I want to show you what a partial CD looks like. So once again, for fractional CDs, it should be grayed out. So let's scroll down and see if we can find one. And here we go. Here's one from First Federal. All right. First Federal Bank of Ohio, Galleon. This CD being offered is a fractional one. It's at 2 years, it's at 4.65%. There is a better one that's offered at 5%, but you have to spend $1,000 to get it. This one, it's in increments of $100. So same scenario as before as all the information that we'd be looking at. FDIC insured, yes. It's the minimum is much lower. Survivor option, yes. Blue sky state is yes. Let's look at which states it is. So it's only 2 states here, California and Texas. So it can't be sold in those 2 locations. From there, I want to look at the dates. Call protected, yes. That's what I want. Good to go. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to buy this one. So on this screen where I'm ready to buy it, it has 2 ways as an amount type. You can buy it based on quantity or by dollars. When you buy it by quantity, it's kind of weird because they show here as one CD is $1,000. In order to buy it in fractionals, you'd have to put in 0.1. So 0.1 equals $100 worth of that CD. But as you see, when you put in a fraction, the auto roll, it automatically puts you into auto roll. You don't have a choice the moment you use a fraction. So you might be asking yourself, if you get a fractional share and it automatically goes to auto roll, is your money always going to be stuck there? And the answer is no, it's not always going to be stuck there. So when it hits maturity, your choices are you can either take back all your principal or you can let it auto roll and choose the next CD. You do have that grace period to figure out what you want to do. So it's not going to be stuck there. I just want to make sure you understand that. Me personally, I prefer to look at this in the form of dollars. So if I go $100, then it automatically does the work for me. It says it's going to be 0.1 CDs, auto roll is in there. So let's go ahead and put in $1,000. And as you can see, when I put in $1,000, it's one full CD, and I have the option to choose if I want it to be auto rolled or not. Try this again. Let's say we go $1,100. The moment you have a fractional CD, it's going to lock you into auto roll. Even if you hit a full CD plus a fraction, like I did here, it's going to lock you in at auto roll. Same process as before. You go ahead, you preview the order, hit execute, and then it's going to send you the confirmation information. That's what it's like to buy a fractional CD. Now, let's move on to the secondary market. Now that we're on this screen, I'm going to go to the secondary CDs. And the secondary CDs is this little button right here. It's not very easy to see. So when we click on it, it's going to bring up this section right here. So right now there's 2,685 CDs to choose from on the secondary market. And right down here, it has the yield percent as far as what that's going to offer. And there's one that's over 6% currently. So I'm going to take this slider and I'm going to move it all the way over because I'm only interested in these really high paying ones, like above 4.4%. So wow, there are over 2,000 available, and all I have to do is click on this button right here. I don't know exactly how they choose what order to show you, but I'm interested in the yield to maturity, and I want to look at that highest interest rate option. So if I click on this, it's going to resort them, and suddenly we have this one that's at 6.8%. And of course you're thinking, wow, that's an amazing option. I can't believe they have that. Well, the problem is it matures in a couple days. So someone is clearly very anxious to move this. Somebody's going to bite on it, not going to be me. So on this screen, it looks a little bit different than before because yes, you're going to have your banks, but the coupons don't always match up with the yield to maturity. So the person or entity that's selling it has the original coupon percent, but then they're going to make adjustments where they're going to give you either a discount on the price or they're going to ask for a premium on the price, and that's going to give you the yield to maturity. So in this first one right here, they're actually asking for a premium on the price. It brings that yield to maturity a little bit lower than what it has for the coupon. As an example, I'm going to click on this Morgan Stanley because it seems fairly straightforward. But once again, I want to look at the pay frequency semi-annually. The coupon is listed there. That's the original coupon. The survivor option is yes. I want to verify that. So the moment I see this, I want to view what the schedule looks like, and it looks like it's every single month. Not a big fan of that. So we do have our FDIC insurance, so it's got the number there. So the price and performance. So we have our bid price, our ask price, and the asking price is the price that they're asking for. That's going to give you that yield to maturity of just over 5%. So let's hit the buy button. And in this case, I have to select my account. And then from there, I'm going to choose to buy. And the quantity is, I'm going to have one. And the ask quantity minimum up here, it also lists just one, which is great. So the asking price is just under that $100, which means that's what's going to allow to get that yield up and above of what the coupon is. So earlier I showed you that the asking price should be at $100, and if it's below it, then you're getting a discount on top of it. And that discount is what's allowing you to get that yield of 5%. Otherwise, the coupon is much lower than that at 4.8%. So in this case, I'm going to hit the 1, and I want the limit price at the ask price, and I have it as fill or kill, meaning it's either going to give me that full one quantity or it's just going to kill it all. Now let's say I said I wanted 20. So let's say I said I wanted 20, that's going to be $20,000 worth. Once again, if I put fill or kill, it's going to give me all 20 or none at all. Now the interesting thing on the secondary market is because people can have different ask prices, you can try to bid it higher or lower. So on here, you can alter what you want for your bid price or your limit price here, because they're asking for that particular price up there. You could ask for a deeper discount on here just to see if they bite. I have never personally done that, so I don't know how well it works. But nonetheless, you could put in a bid price that's less than what they have for their asking price. So I want to show you one more CD on the secondary market that's going to have a little bit of different details just for something for you to look out for. And I'm going to look at the Capital One. So it looks like the coupon was originally at 2.5%, and they are asking for quite the discount in order to bring it up to 4.96%. So let's go ahead, let's click on this, get the details. So once again, the pay frequency on this one is semi-annually. The coupon is only at 2.5%, and the maturity date is just over a year at 2024. Survivor option, yes, we love that. Call protected. Call protection, yes, we also enjoy that. And this is not a blue sky state. And then we go down, FDIC insured, yes, which is what we would expect. And then let's go ahead and click on the price and performance. So let's go ahead and click on buy. You can see what the asking price is. So there's something very different on this CD versus the other one. This CD has an ask quantity minimum of 10. So you have to put in a bid of at least $10,000 in order to get it at this price. I just wanted to show you that one little iteration where sometimes the better rates on the secondary market, they're going to have a minimum requirement that could be 10, 20, 30. I've seen some that even have $200,000 as a minimum order. That's something you need to be aware of. And in addition, if you're going to be buying a large quantity, you could put in a different bid price and put fill or kill. So if you do that, you might try to get it at 5.2%, but the seller may not want to sell all of them. And if that's the case, then they would kill the order and you wouldn't get any. However, you stand the chance that you could wind up on top. So if you have a lot of money that you're looking to put into CDs, you could get a better deal on the secondary market if you put in a bid price for a larger quantity. Just something you can do. I have not personally done that, so I can't give you any advice that would help you along the way, but I just want you to know that is a choice you can make. Overall, that concludes the video on how to buy a new CD, a partial CD, and even on the secondary market with Fidelity. I hope that you found this useful. Thanks for watching.